So, we've never seen video of Donald Trump in a criminal court uttering the words, "not guilty," because it doesn't exist. Despite being criminally indicted multiple times, we have not, and very likely will not, see video of Trump at his various arraignments or at trial until now. Indictment number 4 changes everything.
Unlike New York and Miami, where the former president is facing his other state charges, Georgia actually has a pretty lax policy on allowing cameras in court proceedings. This could be the only of his legal cases to play out on live television.
That'd be something, huh? Imagine the headline, Trump on trial. We're going to explain why it could play out that way and what a judge in the state of Georgia is going to need to consider before deciding whether Trump's latest indictment should, in fact, be televised for the world to see.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would ask that Mr. Simpson step forward and try on the glove recovered at Bundy as well as the glove recovered at Rockingham.
And I think so the jury can see, I'll ask Mr. Simpson to stand. That's People 77.
When you think of highly sensationalized, widely televised criminal trials, that is one that probably comes to mind. That iconic moment in O.J. Simpson's murder trial where he tries on the bloodied glove, but it doesn't fit.
It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Unlike here in Canada, there is a very colorful history in the United States of cameras being allowed to capture criminal trials in all of their ugliness. Serial killers, Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, two of the most widely watched trials in television history. There was also the police beating of Rodney King, or Lindsay Lohan on trial for a whole bunch of things.
The actress is in the excruciating position of facing new felony theft charges while still being on probation for a DUI conviction.
If you plead in front of me, you are going to jail.
But in the case of Donald Trump, until now, it just wasn't meant to be. The first indictment against him involving hush money payments to former porn actor Stormy Daniels, that's in New York. They have among the most restrictive laws about cameras in the courtroom in the entire country.
So in New York, it's largely a matter of privacy for witnesses. And so by law in New York State, any proceeding where any kind of testimony is being heard, cameras are banned.
Now, don't get me wrong, there were cameras in New York for Trump's arraignment, camped out for hours, just waiting for that one moment.
President Trump, will you come speak to us, President Trump?
But from inside the courtroom, all we got were a few shots just before the proceeding got underway. Then cameras were ordered out. And in the case of Trump's other 2 indictments in Washington, D.C. and in Florida, those are federal cases, and federal courts have been very resistant to the idea of allowing cameras, far less permissive than state courts.
Federal courts tried having cameras allowed back in the 1930s. It didn't always go very well. And so after a few bad experiences where it was seen as sort of a spectacle, where the media was very aggressive and cameras were very big and very present, the federal bar effectively banned cameras in trials.
But this latest Georgia indictment, that's different.
In the 98-page long indictment handed up by a Georgia grand jury, it charges 41 counts, 13 of which Trump faces.
By default, cameras aren't just allowed in Georgia courtrooms. They're considered an indispensable element of an effective and respected judicial system. And I don't think most people know this, but many of the court proceedings that led to Trump's indictment being given the green light, paving the way for a full-blown criminal trial, they've already been on television.
Order, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me way in the back? Excellent, I see thumbs up.
So this is inside Fulton County Superior Court, where the judge is beginning the process where a grand jury evaluates the evidence and then decides if a criminal case can go ahead.
Judge Robert McBurney, I want to welcome you to the courthouse. You are here today because you all received summonses to potentially serve as grand jurors.
Judge McBurney, by the way, even has his own YouTube channel. Cameras are very much a part of the fabric of the courts in Georgia.
I want to acknowledge that to my left, the media is here. This is a public event, so they are free to be here.
What this also means is that the district attorney prosecuting the case, Fani Willis, is likely to be very accustomed to cameras filming her every courtroom move.
Good morning. I am Bonnie Willis. I am the district attorney here in Fulton County, Georgia. Thanks to you all for electing me.
So, brace for the trial of a decade to be broadcast in all its glory. From those mundane moments of paperwork being signed to the tense close-up of Trump weighing what unfolds before him. Except, whoever the presiding judge will be, they'll have the final say on camera access. Now, it's typically granted because Georgia law requires cameras to be allowed, but there are reasons a judge may decide Trump is an exception. And one big factor might be how it might affect the trial itself.
And I think with the presence of cameras, though, there is an argument that witnesses are even more susceptible to being intimidated. And so the defense could say that if a witness normally would be up there to defend Donald Trump, he or she may be less willing to do so because of the, let's say, threats against them.
And, we should point out the safety and well-being of those taking part doesn't just take witnesses into account, but think of the jury, too. In the E. Jean Carroll civil rape trial, the judge explicitly acknowledged what it might mean if the names and faces of jurors got out there. There would be a strong likelihood of unwanted media attention to the jurors, influence attempts, and/or harassment or worse of jurors by supporters of Mr. Trump. And to understand, what he was talking about there, consider this post by Trump on Truth Social just this month. If you go after me, I'm coming after you.
The reasons against doing it would be concerns that one, of course, is security. You could make a spectacle of the trial, and therefore you could risk the security of those that are present, the jury members, the attorneys, the witnesses, even other people in other trials in the same building, if it becomes so bad.
The decision on whether to allow cameras will always have to balance two things: the need for transparency and public understanding versus the potential to undermine the trial itself, turning it more into a spectacle than a legal proceeding. The judge will have to think about the impact on witnesses and jurors, how it affects lawyers. Are they, performing for a crowd or staying focused on legal facts? And even, and let's just call a spade, whether television reporting itself is inherently biased. Whether it is, in a way, automatically a denial of due process because of the way these things get covered.
Photos of a stumbling Lindsay outside a bar are not necessarily proof she has violated her probation, but paparazzi pics may again prove to be problematic for the fallen star.
Trump's own lawyer has said that he wants the American public to see what kind of prosecution is going on.
I personally want the public to see what's going on in this country right now.
And without a doubt, if the trial is televised, the world would watch. And Trump, maybe more than most, knows how to work an audience.
These 4 horrible, radical left Democrat investigations of your all-time favorite president, me, is just a continuation of the most disgusting witch hunt in the history of our country.
And let's not forget, this isn't just a celebrity on trial. This is a former U.S. president running for president again. It's impossible for me or almost anyone else to know how a judge will weigh that in this case, whether justice is blind in that regard or whether there may be a political, maybe even a national security interest in either allowing or banning cameras in the courtroom. Does media coverage shine light or stoke fires? We don't know, because we can't know. This is all new. Because the impossible question to answer right now is, at the end of the day, with the curtains pulled back, will the world like what it sees?